And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Hi everyone, Meteorologist Joel Curtis here with your aviation weather for the forecast issued on Tuesday, September 23rd. Starting out with our flying weather for Wednesday morning, we got some IFR off the Beaufort Sea and on up to the Brooks Range, as well as IFR in southwestern Alaska and into Bristol Bay from the Bering Sea, including the Pribilofs. Also IFR from Kodiak Island all around the Gulf Coast, generally higher terrain as you get into southeast Alaska. Otherwise marginal VFR out over the Gulf, all through the Alaska Range and through the Wrangell-St. Elias Mountains as well. And note that we have a chance of some thunderstorms out in the Gulf in the morning. And then in the afternoon, that chance of thunderstorms ramps up to, it's going to be at least isolated and if not scattered. And IFR along the Gulf Coast from Prince William Sound on over to about, Petersburg or so, almost down to Sitka. Otherwise, marginal VFR all across the Gulf, Cook Inlet, the Western Alaska Range, Southwestern Alaska, and all the way out in the Bering Sea, and some IFR along the eastern part of the Bering Sea. And then on Thursday morning, again, chance of thunderstorms out in the Gulf. It's that time of year. The climatological normal for thunderstorms in the Gulf of Alaska is from right about now on through November. And that's because the seawater temperature is warmer and we're starting to get some colder air aloft over the water. So, IFR along higher terrain in southeast Alaska, and then on over to the Forelands in Yakutat area, and then over to eastern Prince William Sound. Also a little bit of IFR off the just inland from the Chukchi Sea coastline, a little bit to the north in the Beaufort Sea. Otherwise, marginal VFR all along almost all of the coastlines except for Norton Sound and a little bit off of southwestern Alaska. Then for Thursday afternoon, more thunderstorms, especially over the eastern Gulf of Alaska, higher terrain, IFR in southeast Alaska, as well as the Wrangell-St. Elias Mountains. Otherwise, marginal VFR from the Gulf, much of the Bering Sea, parts of the Alaska Peninsula, and along the North Slope. And then up in northeastern Alaska, a little bit more IFR. So let's take a look at our pass conditions. First, Anaktuvik, marginal VFR in the morning becoming VFR. Same thing for Adigan Pass, marginal VFR becoming VFR. For Lake Clark and Merrill Pass, marginal VFR, but expect turbulence at least in the morning. And then for Rainy Pass, marginal VFR, they're on the edge of that turbulence, so I wouldn't be surprised to see some light chop in Rainy Pass. Windy Pass, marginal VFR in the morning becoming VFR. Isabel Pass, marginal VFR becoming VFR. Mentasta Pass, marginal VFR becoming VFR. And then for Tahitna Pass, we're expecting a good deal of turbulence and marginal VFR all day. Portage Pass, IFR in the morning, becoming some marginal VFR, particularly in the western sections, but in the eastern section, expect out in Prince William Sound, IFR all day, and plenty of turbulence in Portage Pass. And then for Chilkoot and White Pass, IFR expected all day long, plus turbulence with all those systems in the Gulf. So our freezing levels on Wednesday morning, surface freezing level, most of mainland Alaska and almost right down to just about Yakutat and then across into Norton Sound and Kotzebue Sound. But in the afternoon, you can expect that area to rise up. Most of the temperatures will be just slightly above freezing. Now, for our Wednesday morning upper level freezing levels, 2,000 feet for much of the state, and then 4,000 feet as you get down into the mainland, and then it ramps up to 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 as you get down in the Gulf, also about 6,000 feet in Canada. So that's for icing for Wednesday. First of all, much of the Bering Sea will have icing from the freezing level up to about 8,000 in the morning. and that area generally will start to calm down, probably becoming isolated moderate in the afternoon. And don't forget that there are thunderstorms going to be potential, at least scattered CBs and TCU all over the Gulf. So that would also indicate icing. And then freezing level to 14,000 feet in all of the eastern sections with considerable moderate just about over covering the entire Gulf. And then we have a little weather system well to the north, but it's causing a little icing along the north slope, about 2,000 to 6,000, with a couple of patches of considerable moderate. So for our jet stream, very strong jet, 180 knots, just south of the Aleutian chain. And then we've got generally southwesterlies coming up over the southern portion of the Panhandle up to about 115 knots. Otherwise, fairly light winds, a bit of an upper level low right about Kennedy Entrance or so. For a 9,000 foot wind, place the upper low around Chillicothe Strait. Wind 70 knots, generally westerlies, maybe west-northwest or so, up to about 70 knots out in the Gulf, and then ramping up to 50, 55 knots as you get into over the eastern Gulf and the mountains thereof, particularly for southeast Alaska as well. And then for our 3,000 foot winds, and this is helping along all those areas of turbulence we're going to be indicating, up to 60 knots south-southwest as you get all along the eastern Gulf Coast, right on over to Prince William Sound, and then 65 knots crossing the Alaska Peninsula and the eastern Aleutians, and then going out into the Gulf at about 45 to 55 knots or so, and then some northwesterlies as you get over the Bering Sea and southwestern Alaska. So that sets up our turbulence for Wednesday. Now, don't forget, you get plenty of turbulence with our CBs and TCU. So that's out in the Gulf. In the meantime, an area of considerable moderate all the way from the Lake Clark Placid area, Cook Inlet, Prince William Sound, on over to southeast Alaska, surface to 6,000 feet for our low level, and lots of low level wind shear. Out in the Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula, surface to 3,000 feet, plenty of considerable moderate and low level wind shear. And also for the heavies, well south of the Gulf, look for some potential SIGMETs to be issued down there due to that jet stream coming across the Pacific. So that's it for your aviation forecast. Be sure to file a flight plan, and please fly safe out there. Thank you.